What's up? Welcome to a new episode of Movie Schmovie. This is episode number 455, is what we say. 55. My name's Steve, one of the co-hosts of the show, and as always, I'm joined by
Ron.
That's a lot of friendos.
It was, right? It was.
Kind of a twist. And John.
John, you are a good twist, actually.
It's just one John.
Especially that front hair right there.
Yeah.
It's got a great twist
It's
going on it.
I was inspired by Christopher Reeve, you know. I have the little forelock.
I was going to say, hee.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say up top, I want to thank you guys for doing this episode. I'm in the middle of some pretty major life stuff. And this was like, after about 48 hours of dealing with that life stuff, it was very nice to know I could have this little escape hatch into total tomfoolery and malarkey.
Sometimes that's the perfect prescription. Is a bit of tomfoolery with a side of malarkey.
Well, those are your nicknames. I don't know if people know that. You're Tom. You know, there's tomfoolery on the circuit, Steve, and then malarkey here.
Malarkey.
Man. It's good to see you, man. Good to see you. You know, good to see you smiling.
Well, I mean, this is honestly, this is maybe one of the first times I've done it in a couple of days. So I'm glad to be here. But this is cool, and I'm glad that we all saw like not just a brand spanking new movie, but like a stealth screening of a new movie.
Special, man.
Put a little detective cap on and got a little birdie dropped to my shoulder with a little hint.
Yeah.
And we all got in there to see this sucker. But we'll talk about that in a little bit. We'll keep that secret for this episode.
Keep it.
Before we get to that big review, let's go into Ronald's required viewing pick. Ronald, why don't you remind us all of what you chose?
Sure. It is the Shudder release directed by Eli Craig, Clown in the Cornfield, based on the novel of the same name. It is a slasher horror film that came out very recently. It had a little theatrical run. And when I say little, I mean literally I saw it for like 2 days. It popped up for Cinemark and then it just disappeared. So I'm glad that it came to PVOD and we were able to see it. But yeah, it takes place in Missouri, and there's a sort of a celebration of this town happening around this time, and there's a clown that they play these like internet tricks. It's kind of like gotcha. There's an internet killer out there, right? It's like,
what's the local factory? What do they make?
Like
corn syrup?
It's a corn. Yeah. It's like
they make corn syrup, and the mascot for the corn
for
syrup back when it was a booming town because of this corn syrup company was Friendo the clown, and now Friendo lives on as a kind of urban legend killer.
Right.
And these kids make viral videos. And I mean,
again, gotcha videos.
Yeah, the setup is funny to me though, because like it was instantly like every now and then a slasher movie gives you such a killable group of characters that you
within instant in a moment.
Yeah, this is a completely every single one of them was expendable in their own different way, and it was just kind of funny. But I will say I didn't know. I always question the decision to kill the black kid first. And I always wonder, like, is it a meta choice that like, are they doing this on purpose, or do they not know that we can tell they're doing that? But whenever when they cut to that character, and he said, "Never prank a prankster," like when he was going to like investigate the noise, that was a good little sequence. But I did think, like, does this feel a little, weak sauce that they're making that choice right out of the gate, or is that part of the point? And I didn't feel like the movie was spoofing slasher films that much. It was more kind of doing a PG-13 slasher film that evolves into a kind of action thriller style thing where it wasn't so much scary, it was more just insane, the last chunk of the movie. But I don't know, I did think, okay, so maybe that wasn't a satirical element, maybe that was just a fluke of casting that they committed the egregious and ancient slasher movie sin of killing the black guy first. But yeah, what did you guys think of the tone of this? I kept kind of trying to peg it. I think I thought it was going to be more off the chain in terms of the violence, but the violence was pretty quick, and they cut away from. There were some nasty things that happened, but they cut away from it. Ronald, what was it like for you, since this was your pick? Like, was it what you expected?
it was less zany than I thought it was, but then there were times where like Katie Douglas's character, if anybody's watched Jenny and what's the name of it? Jenny and
Georgia.
yeah, Jenny and Georgia. She's
Was
on
that
that show.
the main
Yeah,
character?
yeah, she's pretty charismatic character.
She was pretty
Um,
good.
there were times when I was like, she's talking to herself in a way that wasn't expecting because she didn't do this the whole movie, but only toward the end when everybody started like acting crazy. She's like, "The fuck is going on here? What the
Yeah.
fuck is?" That was
She had
interesting.
one line in particular that felt that way to me. Do you know the one I'm thinking of? I bet you
No,
could maybe
please tell
think of it.
me.
Where she's like, if your dad asks you to,
Oh,
let him teach you how to drive a stick, you better let him.
You
Or
better let
I
him.
mean,
Yeah.
I mangled it, but it's like it was really just underlining it for us. I feel like I got the idea that she looked at the stick and was like, ah, shit.
yeah,
But that felt a little unsubtle. But then it's based on a book. I think in a book, you do have a character having like an inner monologue sometimes, or a little italicized
Mm,
sentence that tells you what they're thinking. And I
Sure.
guess sometimes maybe that makes it into a movie that you have, like there's not really a smooth way to do that unless you have a narrating voice in the background. I mean, like
yeah.
a voiceover. So, yeah, I thought there were some odd little things like that, but I thought she was pretty good. I actually,
I
in
thought
general,
so
I thought
too.
the cast was pretty good. Like I thought the tone and the look of it was good. I think that it was more the tone of the story or the way the story shifted, where I was a little more interested when it was creepier and when it
Yeah,
became more just insane. I was wondering like, okay, what's the reason behind this? And it kind of reminded me of like Hot Fuzz or something like that, where
Yeah.
there's more people in on it than you think. There's a lot of
yeah.
friendos.
One thing I did think though was like this has the bones of something that could become a really popular franchise. Like if you got a director that could elevate this a little more, I could see this becoming like something that kids kind of jump at. Like it's simple enough. The character is not uh the same as
It's malleable.
yeah, it's malleable. It's not the same as the other clown character who we will not speak of on this podcast for a
Well, okay, but
while.
let's speak of it only in the sense that it was like that light. It was like, okay, Art the
Yeah,
Clown
Art the
light
Clown.
mixed with like Eli Roth's Thanksgiving
Yeah,
kind of, but I could totally see different group of people come to the town and the town elders
yeah,
decide they got to wipe them out. You could do a lot with this concept, with this set. I agree with you.
yeah,
There's a sequel. I mean, it did also feel novelistic to me in the way that characters got set up and there was backstory to certain things and there,
yeah,
there were certain things going on that almost felt like a lot for a movie like this to try to balance. But I could tell that there was that little nod to character that you get in a book.
for sure.
Yeah. I don't want to interrupt you. Yeah. I think the idea of like, the book series, 'cause I was following the author on Twitter, like when this was all coming out, is extremely popular. And I mean, it is like a award-winning, series. I think there's 3 books or maybe even
Okay,
four
so there are
books.
sequels.
No,
Okay,
yeah,
so
there's like, yeah, no, like the second book literally follows her to college, and a friendo pops up at college, and a friendo pops up back in the town
Oh
where dad
wow.
still is, and like it just continues on. So I mean, I do think like I don't know how well this movie did. Maybe if it does better at home, it got pretty good reviews and
yeah.
good audience scores and everything. I just didn't find an audience. Maybe it didn't have like the widest release, but um I think overall, yeah, I mean, I felt like the tone worked for me. I felt like, especially when it happens, like the twist happens, I feel like that kind of logic snap that happens where it's like, oh, it could be that easy to just kill a slasher,
Yeah,
if
Yeah.
it's a
yeah,
person and every mystery of like, because all these really good slashers, there's always the mystery of who is it,
Hmm.
and of evading like a quick demise in today's world where there are weapons everywhere. uh like it could happen that easy, that like the way
yeah,
it does in this movie before the twist drops, which I think that scene is pretty awesome actually. um when something else comes out of the cornfield, I think that's cool. uh and yeah, the way it kind of approaches like this group of kids who are kind of uh yeah, very easy to kill. Like you're like, I don't really
yeah.
care. Maybe go ahead and get all of them. It'll be cool to watch. It's one of those things like that's where you kind of strap in and you're like, oh, this is a fun thing to watch.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, I thought the dad and the daughter relationship was good. I mean, I thought that was kind of fun and kind of silly enough that you kind of cared about whatever was going to happen with the dad when he kind of gets involved in his own way and what's going on that night. Um, it does have this thing, like I was thinking about it when we were watching it, where like beyond the girl, the actress from Ginny and Georgia, you see named actors pop up in the movie, and you realize, okay, well, they're in this for a reason,
Right.
or what is their angle in this? Because everybody else in this is pretty unknown. So on a spectrum, clearly, but I mean, you see someone, like Will Sasso or Kevin Durant pop up in a movie with a cast otherwise of pretty unknown actors and actresses. You start to kind of like deduce, well, they're in this for this reason, and I think that that's kind of it's the same kind of thing with like Thanksgiving. You mentioned it before, like you see named actors in roles and you're like, they can't just be playing
Right.
the town sheriff or the
Yeah.
mayor, like they're
What does
there
she say?
that
How do we have the worst sheriff in America?
Yeah.
right. They got that name for a reason,
Yeah.
and because the everything else around them are like, you don't know who these people are. Not
Also,
that
it's
that's a
like who's doing the hammiest performance. Look to see who's chewing
right.
the most
Sure,
scenery.
sure.
And you go Kevin Durant. Okay, there's more to this character.
Right. And there's he has like the exactly like the lines like at the
Yeah.
parade that he says, and it's
Well,
like
I say.
Yeah. What?
I don't know
How was that
I don't know where
accent,
he was
man?
from as compared to everybody else. I
uh
normally think he's a little bit tighter than that, but I think he was having fun being off the chain in this. It reminded
yeah.
me of Matthew Lillard in the Five Nights at Freddy's. Is that the name of that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, okay, here's a guy who can go off the chain, and he's being invited to go off the chain a little bit.
A
Yeah.
smash hit, by the way. A smash.
Yeah,
Kids,
well, I
Sequel
mean,
sequel's
a
coming out this
sequel, yeah.
fall.
yeah.
Yeah.
Kids love this man. Like, yeah, it bothered me how much people love that fucking movie. It was, yeah, it's wild.
Well, I like Aaron Abrams, who played the dad, Dr. Glenn Maybrook.
Yeah.
I was wondering what it was that I liked him on so much, and I realized I think I mostly know him and like him from Hannibal. He was Scott Thompson from Kids in the Hall, and he
Yep.
were the
Mm.
two like what's the word I'm looking for? They were like always poking at the bodies. What do you call that?
The medical
Coroner,
examiners?
kind of medical
Oh,
examiners, yeah.
yeah.
But they were always the ones who were like back in the lab, like finding the
Yeah.
weird shit that the murderers were doing to the bodies. And so there was always the threat that they would get involved more. And I feel
Yeah.
like at some point there was maybe one storyline where it seemed like one of them might get killed. But on that show you'd get killed and like turned into an art piece.
Yeah.
But I
Rewatching
think
that show right now. So weird you bring that up. It's
okay, you know
so
what?
good.
When you're rewatching that show,
Yeah.
you will get to one of my favorite scenes of all time. And that is the scene in Italy when Lawrence Fishburne comes
Hmm.
to town to kick a little Hannibal ass. That fight is
Yes.
so incredible.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's incredible.
I'm
It's,
excited.
you know what scene where a character is just not ready for a character to be coming for him?
Like,
And so they get knocked down and then they get knocked down and then they get knocked down and then they get knocked down because the person that's coming is like a wrecking ball. It's
Relentless. Yeah.
yeah, it's that kind of scene where it's like even a person that can fight can get caught off guard, and if you then
Right,
catch
right.
them off guard again and then off guard again, you get to watch a really put together character get like rattled. So yeah, it's
Mm.
good stuff. But no, it's a beautiful show. I don't know if you're watching some super nice transfer of it or if it exists in 4K somewhere, but Hannibal's a gorgeous show.
It is, man. It really is.
What a special show. Yeah.
Yeah.
We love
Yeah.
that show here on this podcast.
It's one of the few kind of overly art directed things like that where I think it works so much with the material. So often that feels like slowing down the movie to be
Yeah.
just like to show off or something. But something about Hannibal's character makes that make sense that it's this opulent, excessive show.
Yeah.
What am I right? Was this movie PG-13 that we just watched, or was it R?
Pretty sure it's R.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
it was
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's R.
It had a PG-13 energy with how quickly it cut away from all of the gore. I hate to say this. I think I might have liked to have seen a little bit more latex and a little bit more stuff spraying, and I don't know. I think I wanted a little bit more of that extreme humor.
I get it.
But I know, especially knowing that there's more books already, and if this was, I mean, I don't know how much. Let me look at what the budget was. It cost 1 million. It's already made 10 million. So
Oh, okay. That's good then.
But I mean, assuming a movie like this may have had a mark with a movie that small, the marketing budget might be more than the budget. You know what I mean? But I
Yeah,
don't think this movie got marketed like that. I think it was a lot of midnight movie word of mouth type stuff. So
yeah, and like convention
grassroots.
stuff and festivals. Yeah,
So yeah, we'll probably see a part two.
I would
Oh,
definitely watch it. I mean, like
me
this
too.
was a fun watch. Again, I dug the twist. You know, kind of gets a little hammy and cheesy at the end when you kind of see who and what's happening.
He got hammy cheesy.
Yeah, ham and cheese, croque
Like a good
monsieur.
like a good sandwich. We can say
Yeah,
that.
like a good sandwich. All ham and cheese.
Um, but yeah, no, this was definitely a fun watch. It was kind of everything I kind of was expecting it to be from hearing about it. It was pretty on point to what my expectations were. So that's a win for sure.
Well, so often a movie like this won't be well lit or well shot or well acted. And this one was kind of all of those things. There were a few
It was
moments that were a little bit hammy, and I really think that it was mostly in the world of the story. Like I think that there was some father-daughter stuff that was a little cringy, but I think that may have been kind of the intent was to have this very, normal father-daughter relationship, right? Not like a cool dad and a
right.
and a cool kid, more like just typical stuff. Because I do think the movie had a sense of humor about some of those elements. And maybe if I could criticize that some of those characters, those killable characters, they were kind of underdrawn. But this is a 96-minute movie or something, and it
Yeah, it's
covers a lot of
crazy.
ground.
Yeah,
And there's definitely enough people. There's enough carnage. It's not one of those movies where everybody's standing around at the end,
Mm.
and you wonder like what was even happening here.
It surprised me how little of a pushover she was. She was like any any bit of aggression that was shown towards her, she shut that shit down so fast. And I really enjoyed that. It kind of surprised me. I was like, oh man. So it was like, whoa, they trying to make fun of the girl. She like pushed that girl over. And then the
Yeah.
bully that tried to like fucking yeah, it was like a lot of that. I really enjoyed that. And you don't see that very often in horror
yeah,
films. If somebody's so aggressive, meets the energy right in the middle. I enjoyed that a lot.
Right. Well, I think you see that sometimes, but it's like they're making a point about how self-possessed the person is or how they're finding their
Yeah,
mojo. But she was just kind of a willful person. And
yeah,
again, I think that's where that father-daughter thing illustrated that was that like we could see that her dad was being kind of lame, but also that she was being kind of unfair. And I think that was again, that's not like super complex, but that gives you
for
enough
sure.
juice to see. I mean, especially at the end of the movie, if knowing there's a second book that picks up with those characters, I can totally see the tension of making you worry about one or the both of them, even though it seems like probably she'll live. There's a book series that author that I've recommended on the show, Stephen Graham Jones. He has a book series. The first one is called "My Heart Is a Chainsaw," and the second one is
Oh,
called
geez.
"Don't Fear the Reaper,"
Mm,
and the last one is called something else. But it's a trilogy of books that's kind of a slasher trilogy. And
Okay.
it's interesting that there's another one, but it's a very literary novelistic approach. But like each book is like the lead character is this character that is obsessed with horror movies and knows all about them and has all these thoughts and theories. And so the stories are interspersed with her sort of essays
oh,
that
that's
she's
awesome.
writing about stuff. And some of the
Mm.
times I agree with it, and sometimes I don't. But I think that's kind of the point of it. She's an opinionated person, but it's interesting how the story that she's living through really mirrors like all these different types of slasher. Like each book kind of takes in different cliches and kind of explores them, but also
Hmm.
does it against the backdrop of a town where there's all these different characters that you're tracking over years. So
Mm.
I wouldn't be surprised to see those get turned into a movie at
What are
some
they
point.
called?
The first one is called My Heart is a Chainsaw. Um,
Those sound awesome.
That's
let me see
the
if I can.
greatest name I've.
I know, and the if you look at the cover, it's a cool like the design is a design as though the cover of the book has a like it's been chopped by a chainsaw. My heart is a chainsaw. I'm trying to see if I can find
Check that out, man. Yeah, I
oh it's
see. It's got
the,
it's
the
got the cut
Indian
through it.
the Indian Lake trilogy is the name of
Oh, I've heard of
this.
that. I
Yeah,
mean, I know you've mentioned that name, the author's name, but the Indian Lake, or maybe you've called it that on the pod.
I might
I,
have.
but I feel like
Yeah,
I've seen that on another book list recently.
Well, the third book I just looked it up is called The Angel of Indian Lake. I haven't read that one yet, but
Oh,
I've read the first two. Don't Fear the Reaper, and the first one is like I just said,
I may have to grab
American
that.
Chainsaw.
That sounds
I mean,
awesome.
I
It
could
does.
see you digging it. It's very it's in depth and it's all over the place and it goes wild
Hmm.
places, but you never quite know. Like his books are generally very unpredictable, and these books feel like him just totally having fun, like really playing.
Nice.
Stephen Graham Jones is a real, I mean, he's a horror author, so you might expect this, but he's one of the ones who you can tell is a voracious, like he goes to see horror movies and posts about them. He's very plugged into like the genre. He's not one of those
Right.
guys who's trying to pretend he's elevating something. But he does. He actually does write really good fiction. No, I could see especially My Heart is a Chainsaw appealing to a lot of people. Um, so
That sounds awesome.
yeah.
Cool. Well, if you didn't watch along, we didn't really, I don't know that we sort of said the twist, but maybe you missed it. But if you didn't watch it, this is on digital. So again, if you want to see more of the Clown in the Cornfield, if you're in the camp of wanting to see more, go out and find it and check it out. Support it digitally on demand or PVOD or SVOD, however it's available. Um, my pick is next, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, so I'm also going to go with a recent one that I've added to my list recently. It's also only barely an hour and a half long. It's also streaming on Amazon Prime Video. This is a action comedy called Deep Cover. Uh, I've seen a bunch of people posting about it recently,
Yes.
and with very positive feelings about it. This is co-written by just names that you might recognize: Colin
Hmm.
Trevorrow, stars Bryce Dallas Howard, Orlando Bloom, and Nick Mohammed from Ted Lasso.
Mm.
Um, Basically, it's a action comedy about improv actors that go undercover to infiltrate London's criminal underworld. And apparently it's just really kind of fun, silly action buddy
Okay.
comedy. Uh Watched the trailer the other day. Again, it's on streaming on Amazon Prime Video. Looks like I would totally be in the bag for something like this.
I mean, it looks so fun, and I feel like
Yes,
Orlando Bloom is at exactly the point where he needs to do a
totally agree.
Like George Clooney doing "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou" or something. He needs to do
Mm.
a movie that spoofs his leading man qualities.
And he seems to be like the reviews that I've read and some of the like kind of film Twitter or TikTok follower people I follow. He is the one they talk about the most, like that he is like hilarious and does exactly what you mentioned just now, John, is that it's like so serious, and
Hmm.
that's the joke of the movie. In
Yeah.
his character, it's like he's a joke in this movie, but he takes himself so seriously as like this real actor.
Also,
Um,
you got Sean Bean and Ian McShane. There's some
yeah,
great
dude,
people in
yeah,
this.
yeah. I just mentioned the top three, but yeah, there's a bunch of other.
Patty Considine. I thought
Yeah,
so
I'd say I
too.
was going to mention Patty is in it. There was one more person that popped up in the trailer that I recognize. I can't remember who it was. Maybe it was
Sonoya
in.
Mizuno. I know I recognize her from something, but I can't. Oh yeah, yeah. She was in Ex Machina. The she was
Yes,
she's always been good. I feel like I've seen her in something. She was in Crazy Rich
she was
Asians too, but
Kyoko. Yeah.
I don't know if I remember her in that. But yeah, I've seen. Oh, Annihilation. That might be the other thing I remember seeing her in. But no, I've always liked her as well. So
Yeah, this
and there's
looks
a
just
lot.
like a lot of fun. And again, barely an hour and a half, and it's streaming on Amazon Prime Video. If you have a Prime subscription, you have access to it already. So hopefully you can watch it with us, and that's my pick for next week's required viewing.
Mm.
Nice.
Uh, so let's talk about the kind of special movie that we got to all see this week in a in what felt like a what do you call this? Like what's the word I'm thinking here? Not serendipitous, but like
Well,
I
it
mean,
we
was
all just came. What'd
it
you
was
say?
impromptu. Is that maybe what you're thinking?
Impromptu, I think, is maybe what I'm thinking of. Yeah, like
yeah.
starts off with Ronald being like, "Hey, did you guys see that there are fan screenings of F1?" And I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, hey, did you guys see?" I've been hearing that the Secret Cinema movie, the same night across all the chains, is actually Jurassic World Rebirth, which is like
Yeah.
10 days early or 9 days early. So then it was like, "Whoa, should we all go see this and take a chance?" And there's no way to confirm it really outside of Reddit, which is what I was reading.
The runtime
The
was 2 hours
runtime
and
is with
14 minutes. And I
yes.
looked and there was nothing out.
Yeah,
There were other movies that were close, but nothing was exact
right.
except for Jurassic
It's
Park.
it's weird
So
though because the different chains like list different runtimes, but they
Jurassic
Oh,
like
World.
they
Yeah.
they they was
Yeah,
reading
yeah,
it
yeah.
that like some of those runtimes are with credits and some are without credits.
Hmm.
But I don't know. But anyway, yes, it seemed very likely. And then the filmmakers, the official Twitter account, they kind of posted a video that definitely seemed like they were kind of showing their card or showing their hand that it was going to happen. So we all got tickets. We all went our separate ways and saw
We
Jurassic.
triangulated.
Yeah, it's like we covered the Baltimore Maryland metro area in
yeah.
some way, shape, or form, and saw. So I went to Regal. Where'd you guys go? AMC.
AMC.
I
Yeah.
was
AMC.
at
Yeah.
AMC White Marsh. And
Yeah.
I got around their awful concession system by using the order in advance. So
Ooh,
even though
Oh,
all I needed was an icy,
and you just roll up and grab it.
I had a cup waiting there for me on the little
Look at you.
shelf. Yeah, it was
cool.
great.
You
And of
hacked it,
course
John.
I smuggled in some peanut M&Ms. I'm not an
Oh,
amateur.
you,
Yeah. And
you sneaky sneak.
maybe we should talk about this whole thing, man. So, and it seems to be more of a summertime thing than anything, but it picks up in the summertime. I'm noticing, especially for AMC, they have something called Screen Unseen, and it seems to be a couple in the summer that are for pretty big movies. And I had never done it before, and I remember you talking about it a
Never had
couple
either.
times, Steve. And,
Yeah.
I was super curious about
Cheap
it.
tickets.
Yeah, cheap, $5. This
$5 ticket, yeah.
and there's a heads up. Here's a heads up. There's one on July 7th through AMC. So that one's an hour 33. Let's do some math, figure out what that is, and go see that one. But yeah, it's a cool opportunity to see a movie in advance. Uh, the energy is a little different than a press screening, I'd say.
Yeah.
There's a
Oh
lot
yeah, for
more. There's a
sure.
lot more like, well, I did some calculations, and there's like
Well,
a row of
okay, so I was
people
going to say, what was it like in your room?
tense,
Did you feel everybody going,
tense.
oh, when the little announcement started? Because
Yeah,
ours had a little
yeah,
clip in front of it of
yeah.
Jonathan Bailey, is that his name?
Yeah,
And
and Scarlet.
and Scarlett Johansson introducing the movie. And I felt like there was a kind of it was muted. I actually kind of wanted to go, yay! You know,
We
like
we definitely did in our theater. We went to a Regal, and the audience was very responsive. They were
well,
like cheering.
in my theater it was muted, but you sensed people go like, okay, all right,
Yeah,
okay.
I'm in. Let's go.
Mhm.
Right. It was like, okay, let's do this then.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would have been so funny for it to be like, I don't know what it would have been to have been super disappointing, but if it had been like a revival screening of some random
Yeah.
movie,
Here's
just
here's the issue. The guy beside me was 0 and 15
At what? Guessing?
guessing.
Oh my god.
He did it often. Like this is a guy that had like an AMC membership, and,
Oh
and
yeah, yeah.
whenever
The A
those came
list.
up, they do it for free. He
Yeah.
gets it for free. He's 0 and 15. And I'm like, man. He's like, yeah, I always get it wrong. And I was like, I think this was Jurassic World. Like I'm pretty sure. Like
Yeah.
I hope they were right for your sake. Cause he got one in the win column. Cause he never got it right. And he loves them all, but yeah, man.
It's a cool pro. Yeah, most of the chains have it. Like Regal's Mystery Movie, AMC Screen Unseen, Harkins, which is out like my some of my closest friends, they do it every single one of them at the Harkins,
does
and I kind
Cinemark
of
do it?
help them. What's that?
Does Cinemark do it?
I think Cinemark has a version of it, yeah, but like I always try to help them guess the ones that they go to, and I gotta say I am undefeated.
Oh,
Uh,
Ah.
good.
for
Good.
theirs.
Is
This is
this the
kind of what
biggest one?
prompted this. Yeah, well, the last big one was Gladiator 2. That was
Ooh.
like the big like they went full tilt, and I was like, guys, I think it actually is Gladiator. I didn't go to the one here because we went to the press screening, but yeah, I don't know. I've never really gone to them. A lot of times it is smaller movies. It's like more maybe like Neon, Searchlight, A20. Like it's that level a lot of times. But there are those moments where like a movie kind of has a week or a weekend to itself, and like you can tell the marketing is just full tilt, like Gladiator, 4 quadrant, Jurassic World, 4 quadrant. They just want anyone, especially when they think the movie's good.
Okay, I was going to ask you that.
Yes,
Is it
for sure.
perceived that this is like something you wouldn't do if you were not happy with the movie, if you were
A
the
hundred
studio?
percent no, yeah, because basically it breaks embargo. You know, people can pay to go see it. Uh, People will go on and start reviewing it. You know, like on IMDb or any of the online socials. Which they have to be comfortable with if people don't like this movie that that's going to happen. It's going to backfire. Not that a movie like Jurassic World Rebirth is going to rely on reviews or what people are saying. I think these kind of movies, in some ways, are automatic in terms of box office. It's in that rarefied air of like they all basically deliver, even if the movies haven't been great. Um, but yeah, it's a really cool thing, and I mean, yeah, they're usually anywhere between like $5 to $7, and if you go out on a weeknight and just you can tell like in our theater, we're sitting next to a group of women that of 3 or 4 women that like go to every single one together, and it's like an event for them, and they're like guessing what it is, and I'm telling them what I think it is, and they're like losing their minds if that's right, and I was like, just hang tight, we're about to find out, and they were like going nuts when they announced it. So it was a lot of fun. And yeah, I think that the people that go to those movies are excited to see a movie, especially a movie that no one's seen yet. So they're
Right.
very like usually coming out talking, coming out buzzing a little bit. But it was a lot of fun. I mean, even before considering if, what the movie, how the movie played to me, it was a cool vibe. It was one of those packed, it was packed. People were definitely responding to the movie in many ways. And yeah, man, it was a cool experience for sure. I would definitely consider doing it again. More recently, I almost went to the one. I kind of kicked myself in the butt for not going. It was a few sessions ago. They did Life of Chuck,
Mm.
and I kind of guessed it for my friends in Arizona, and I was like, I need to try to get to the one at AMC, but I just couldn't get there in time, and it was Life of Chuck, and I kind of regret that now that I haven't seen it yet. So
Yeah.
they do get like that's the thing, like Neon,
Yeah.
like that. They get those a lot of those studios films, and
But I mean, that's a movie I would still be
yeah, yeah,
interested to see. Even like it's not maybe not a big movie, but it's an interesting movie with a, even though it may not have taken the box office by storm, but with a weird kind of buzz, a little mystery around it. So that would still be a satisfying movie to see. But definitely Jurassic World Rebirth is the kind of movie that you're going to be like entertained, even if you're just finding out that it sucks. You know what I mean? Like even if it's like kind of what you said, even if it's not a great movie, you
yeah,
know a Jurassic World or Jurassic Park movie is going to have a certain level of entertainment value and a certain level of quality to the filmmaking.
right.
I guess we can talk about the movie a little bit here. Um, what did you guys think of the movie? And I guess in terms of how it slots into the franchise too.
This one pisses all over the Chris Pratt ones to me. Just
Tell
piss.
tell me more. What do you
I
mean?
think I agree, but yeah, tell us
I
more.
just did
Pisses all over them? What do you mean?
piss. I just didn't. So I thought. Let me say. Sometimes you can watch a movie a couple times and it feels different every time you watch it. You know what I mean? Some movies I can watch, I'm like, I love this movie every time I watch it. I noticed that every time I watched any of the Chris Pratt Jurassic Park movies or Jurassic World or whatever the fuck they're called,
Jurassic, yeah,
I
Jurassic
love I
movies.
like them less and less and less, and I can't figure out if it's Chris Pratt. I'm gonna use a saying from the Chris Pratt of it all, or or it was just like the feel of it, like the scope of it didn't feel Jurassic Parky, and I think that's what this one feels like it got back to. The stakes were about dinosaurs. It wasn't about fucking fly flies,
Locust, wasn't it?
Cloning.
locusts,
Yeah, cloning.
fucking yeah. It's like what?
And it's not
Well,
trotting
human
out a bunch
cloning
of
rather.
cameos
Yeah,
either.
it isn't a fucking guy trying to do voodoo on a goddamn dinosaur, putting his hand in front of it, and the dinosaur is just okay. I mean, it's just like I kind of got sick of it, and trying to make this like Mission Impossible team of people that are gonna help with the dinosaurs. I just didn't like it. I just didn't like that feel of it. But here's the thing with this world that they've created with this new one, I wouldn't be pissed if Chris Pratt were to show up. If other characters from that uh portion of the movie uh
It's like if they showed up in this tone,
yeah.
they would feel different. I agree with you. I
Yes.
agree with you. It would feel a little earthier.
Yeah.
There's something about this movie. In some ways, this is a retreat, right? Because this movie even builds in a reason why. Oh, see, it turns out the dinosaurs can only live
Yeah.
around these tropical islands
Yeah.
like
That
they
whole
were on
trilogy
before.
is
Yeah,
explained away
yeah.
with like 2 title cards.
Right.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, but I feel, of course it's open for them to then
Yeah.
cut to some
Yeah.
Arctic dinosaur situation or
For
whatever. But
sure.
we're led to believe that they're all basically back in these weird, not weird, but just equatorial islands,
Yeah.
And so it's like but there's something about that that's like, and it's David Koepp writing it, and he's got the
Hmm.
guy that wrote the screenplay to the first one.
Hmm.
I don't know. There's something about that that feels like it's smart. It's like, let's get it back to what we were doing. It's be like if someone made a Ghostbusters movie right now and they got it down to 3 characters that were all dealing with something. Like, it's like if you winnow something down or get it back to its basic form, there's a certain kind of intelligence to saying
Right.
we can sense this is what's working here. I'll say this though, this movie was a strange one to me. David Koepp wrote the screenplay. I forgot when I was watching it that he wrote the screenplay. Um, there were moments, and I don't. Maybe you'll know exactly what I mean. I hope this isn't a strange statement. There were moments where the acting was better than the dialogue. And then there were moments where the dialogue was better than the acting. Like there were moments
Mm.
where Scarlett Johansson felt a little wooden. And as much as
Oh
I
yeah.
love him, there were moments where Mahershala Ali felt a little bit like he was on rails playing this character. And it was like, oh, but what's
Yeah.
happening between the characters isn't that bad right now, but it just feels a little wooden. And then there were other times where I thought the actors were charming, but do you know, like okay, if a character has to convince a character to join a mission or something. I felt like this movie, it would happen in a very on the nose way that made me feel like there was about to be a curveball or a twist, but there wouldn't be
There
one. It
wasn't.
would just kind
Yeah.
it was like getting the team together for new viewers. It was like we're showing you this
Mm.
I can't but it's like sometimes that screenplay felt like, man, I just wish this was a little sharper and these character turns were a little more interesting and nuanced. And then other times I was thinking like, oh, that was not a bad line. That was just Scarlett Johansson kind of delivering a line like she's not really delivering it yet. Like she's like, okay, when are we going to film? We're going to film a take. We just got like the line reading, but we haven't had any acting yet. But it wasn't like she
Yeah.
was bad. Other parts I thought she was, like in some ways, like you said, Ronald, I felt like this movie felt closer in my heart to that OG Jurassic Park kind of
Definitely.
thrills and chills.
Yeah.
And the story just had a simplicity to it, and their mission had a simplicity. Once you knew, okay, there's 3 dinosaurs
That's
they're
the key right
trying to
there.
catch,
It's
and
simple.
boom, one, boom, two, yeah,
It's simple, not only simple, but it's like it's trackable. The
hmm
idea of not just having like 3, but it's land, air, and sea.
Look,
You
man.
know, and it's a way to introduce. It's almost like they're fighting like it's almost like they're hitting like levels of a game or boss
yeah,
levels of a game.
totally.
And that's kind of and
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 the hardest
still
level is the last one.
right, exactly. And it's just like I think that was the probably the biggest asset of the movie. And I definitely agree with what you're getting at, John. Like with I personally feel like it's more a screenplay issue, and it's kind of I feel like that stuff is what didn't work for me the like more consistently through the movie versus maybe the performances. I think that was more
You think of the material, they were doing the
I,
best they could with the
I think
material.
I thought so.
Like I
Because
said, I felt that in some scenes, but then there were other scenes where I really did think, wow, Scarlett Johansson sometimes
yeah,
just talks like nobody talks.
sure.
Yeah.
But
You're
yeah,
right.
I felt like that way of kind of framing the movie and even explaining away the stuff in the beginning. I feel like it's an odd thing, but this is supposed to be like a standalone sequel to that series that is in that world,
Yeah.
and is dealing with what happened in that world. But it's years later, and it's a different set of characters, which I dug. I did kind of feel like there were definitely a lot of scenes where I was like, what is this scene doing in this movie? Like and it was so long, like her and Mahershala talking inside of the boat
Yeah.
about like the dead friend, the divorce, losing a child. Like it just got so bleak, and it stayed in that scene for like 7 minutes. And
hmm
Yeah.
meanwhile, out on the boat, they're fucking hunting dinosaurs.
Yes.
I'm like, oh, this is a Jurassic World movie, right? And it's like, and those stakes that like those pieces of story that you're getting from that dialogue, it's like yes, they call that later in the movie
Yeah.
in their respective scenes, but it's like it could have never happened, and it
It
wouldn't
didn't
have
need
been
to
a
be there.
different movie at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
You know, um,
Like the 90 to 100 minute version of this movie would have been amazing in my mind.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
They
Totally
100%.
agree.
spent they did think you kind of nailed it. They spent a little, but again, I think there was something about that opening stretch where they're setting up the characters. As much as I felt like this is kind of written for like 8-year-olds to understand it,
Yeah.
like the whole thing where they meet the scientist at the museum and they're like, you're joining the mission. You're coming with it. He's like, what? He's like a silly, geeky scientist with glasses. I mean, there's so many things that felt like it was really very simplistic, but there was still a Spielbergy kind of warmth to the way those scenes were shot. And even the score, which was a little too turned up, felt like it was really trying to give us that sweeping John Williams
Yeah,
kind of
yeah, yeah.
feeling. So I
Yeah.
really did appreciate that tonal thing, which I think, Ron, when you talk about this movie taking a piss on the last trilogy felt like it belonged to the Disney era of franchise expansion, you know?
Yeah. For sure.
And what that doesn't mean it's bad. It just means
No,
it
that
feels like
means
it belongs to that. This feels like if this is a standalone, Steve, this feels like almost more like Alien Romulus or something where
It
it's like
does.
yeah.
this maybe does throw back and maybe does remind you of a lot of things, but it has its own little
Yeah.
spot it's trying to sit in and also its own little way forward with, and I know people, this will sound like a strange thing to say because Alien Romulus, people, if there was a complaint, people said it just repeated too many things. But it still felt like there was something about it that was of the moment and kind of fresh to me. And I think this movie feels a little bit more energetic and less like it's trying to be a franchise expansion. This feels a lot more like, oh, we want to get you in like a bunch of just those scenes, like the scene on the boat scene where the dinosaurs are attacking them. That was huge. And I mean, we're talking about Gareth Edwards, who does scale and atmosphere
No.
and all that the stuff with the flares and stuff. That's just so him. And that stuff was working great visually.
Yeah.
This movie was really taking me someplace that was exciting. And then I think that it had a little too much of the character stuff, which is a weird complaint because
Yeah.
normally I'd say bring me that, but I think when it's a little bit clunky or a little bit simplistic, it's like the pieces were being moved into the right places on the board, but I didn't need all that. I didn't need all that explanation for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
The only way I can describe what you guys are saying is like it's almost like they were trying to imitate a Spielbergian sort of feel to it, but
Like
didn't
too much.
tighten it up. Like what makes those things good is like efficiency. The
Yes.
connections between the characters, the callbacks are really quick. There's not like people aren't sitting in shit for 7 minutes and they're like, yeah, when my wife died, I fucking felt
But also then the
awful. It's like,
music goes doo, 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 doo. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
like
It becomes
what?
corny for a minute.
Yeah, what are we
Yeah,
doing
definitely.
here?
Definitely got a little hokey.
But what I will say is the death level in this movie, insane. Like this didn't feel like a
Up
kids
until a
movie in that
point.
way.
Up until a point. I think there was a
Yeah.
point where we had too many. There's one group of
I was like,
characters
God damn.
that travels together that I was like increasingly aware no one's going to die in this group of characters.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I felt like towards the end they did at least tease us. There was one death that we don't get, but that we thought we might get, and it worked. It worked because I didn't want the character to die.
Yeah,
But in
yeah.
a way, I think those stakes. And I don't know. I feel like the movie, what you're saying, is true for the first half, and then once they're down to like the core characters, you don't really get a lot of
I'm
carnage.
okay
In
with
fact,
that.
there's that one guy left who speaks French. That's not like one of the main people.
Yeah.
Well, it's
He
the
was
whole crew that like come in last.
But I'm saying that one guy who was like left at the end, like
Yeah.
he was the last one left who wasn't.
He was
one of the
left
main
because
characters.
he was down in the engine
Yeah.
bay of the
Right.
boat when shit was
But
going
I mean,
bad.
like later in the movie, like before he goes, it was like he was the last one who made it to that point in the movie, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh
Yeah.
man, you're gonna be the last. And the other thing that's consistent in these movies is the people that get killed, the dinosaur kind of chomps on them, and you kind of spits them back up and swallows them back down. Like there's every death is a little bit like, man, that would be painful because that
Yeah.
would go on a little too long. For
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, this is an interesting. Like, I feel like coming out of it, like I really enjoyed watching the movie. Like you said, John, they're all at least entertaining because
Mhm.
at the base, it's like there's fucking dinosaurs, and they're like there's something cool happening with dinosaurs.
And the
Like,
effects are incredible.
that's
almost
still
every
so
time.
cool
Yeah.
to watch on a
Yeah.
big screen, and the sound, like that is such a great experience, even if the movies and succeed to different degrees. Like I feel like the original Jurassic World trilogy kind of had diminishing returns in succession for me, but had high points in each respective film, and just the same about this. Like I feel like this is probably I probably enjoyed this more than I think maybe all those movies. Maybe not, maybe I don't know, entertaining wise, the first one I thought was pretty good, but in each of them, there are those standout scenes, you know, like, and this one has a couple of those standout scenes. Like, and again, to give some kudos, like talking performance, and I think you may have mentioned them briefly, but I thought the standout for me was Jonathan Bailey. I thought he was great in the movie. I thought his character really was the one that, by purpose, reminded you while you're watching this why this is amazing. You know, like his function in this crew as a scientist, as a paleontologist, is clear. But like the scene when they are in that field with the Titanosaurus is like, and he like walks up and touches them and he's crying and they're watching it all. Like that is magic. Like that is movie magic. Like that's a sit forward.
Well,
in your
that is
seats.
also a huge part of the Jurassic Park magic in the first movie.
That's exactly right. And it's like
that,
it's
yeah.
the closest.
And he's even we find
come.
out he's even kind of an acolyte or a protege of Alan Grant, which
Right,
is like
right.
the one little that's the one connective piece we get, really, right? I mean,
I think so.
yeah.
But I'm saying though, like that is the thing, like that
Yeah.
does touch on that first movie,
Yeah.
and you know, probably is closer than any of the other ones have, and I'm sure intentionally, but it was very moving and it was very magical, and it's very much like, God damn, that's why that's so cool. Like this is like his life's work, and he's there touching it, and not being scared, not fearing for his life, but just being able to take in the moment, and it completely overwhelms him. And that's what would happen, you know, naturally to someone in those shoes. And I thought that scene was just incredible. He also has a great scene. It's kind of not a throwaway, but it's a bit of a run he has where he's talking about what like being the smartest, not being like a competitive advantage in
Oh
nature.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that was awesome.
I
like
love
that.
that.
That's the David Kep. Like that's the screenplay part. You're like, okay, that's good. That's a
Yeah,
standout
definitely.
line.
It feels like a
run,
little bit of science and a little bit
Yes.
of counterintuitiveness to tell you, well, you know, actually, there's a point beyond which
Yeah,
it
we're
really
a
doesn't
blip.
help you that much.
Yeah.
Yeah, to be.
I love that scene. But yeah, I thought he was great in it. You know, it's funny you mentioned the character who we thought we lost and didn't lose at the end. I actually felt the opposite for that. I kind of thought that was kind of a bit of a cheap out because it just didn't really make sense to me.
No, it makes no sense.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, I was sort of glad that of all the characters that could have died, that character did not end up going. But knowing that it might be intended to be a standalone really makes me wonder why they wouldn't just go ahead and kill that character.
Well, I mean, I'm sure if it makes $1 billion, it's not going to be a standalone. Like that's
But I
what
mean,
that's
so
what it's
for-
labeled as, though. You know.
I guess I'll say I'm glad we might have that actor around for another movie of this if they do it. But I there's no, I mean, did I miss it? There's no plot explanation for how that character survives, right?
No, no. There's no
There's
explanation.
nothing. It's one of those. Oh, he's definitely gone. Oh, there.
They even go with the visual of like the flare out.
Yeah,
and like
right. The light goes out. Yeah,
and like just like logistically where they're going on a boat, and to see him come out of the side
yeah.
of the like
No,
what
it didn't make any sense.
what like it's good for them, it's good for her, you know, whatever, it's fine.
It's good
like,
for that actor if there's a payday in this.
Oh,
you know,
100%.
But
I'm sure that's what it is. Like we'll keep you around because if there's sequels, we want to have you involved.
But
Yeah.
I think that was I think that the other group I was talking about, the group of four, I think that was a little bit of a problem. Like because I didn't really want any of those characters to die.
Sure.
But the one who I thought we could have lost, and was the one who almost died and didn't. There's a whole story, and I think that would have been the most interesting one to have died. The one who's like on the boat. Like
Yes.
there's a moment where a character seems to be able to let a character die. I think
Yes.
if that death had happened, I think much of the rest of the movie could have worked in a different way. But I feel like that would have pushed it towards the sort of more dark feeling of anyone could die. Whereas I feel like once that character didn't die, I was like, oh, I can kind of tell this movie's playing it a little soft on the characters that we like. You know what I
Right.
mean? And that's fine, but it does make, like I said, that last remaining guy who's not one of the main characters, you do go, oh, dude, you're the red shirt here. You know, you're
Yeah,
definitely-
yeah. The other
Blue.
scene, the other scene to mention, talking about that group that I thought was awesome was the raft sequence.
Yes.
That sequence again, that gets back to like, and not to discredit the Jurassic World trilogy, because they did have moments of this, but like a reminder of like why the T-Rex is just like incredible, you know, and like scary and like not fucking around. You know what I mean? Like that scene was really great, and like just even how it's staged, popping up behind the bush, disappearing behind the bush, like the
Hmm.
boat flipping up. That is awesome. Like blocking, like I love that stuff.
Yeah, the geography of that scene was really good.
It was really great,
And
and
it was a rare occasion where characters are like afraid to help somebody
yeah,
that makes
yeah,
sense.
and
Where
they
it's
can't do
like,
any. They're just frozen.
right,
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
I thought that was good.
and that's
No,
not.
that
I guess what I'm saying. Like I
it all
definitely
worked.
have criticisms of the movie, and like there's some silliness in there that just sort of like, oh god, like roll your eyes a little bit. But again, at the end of the day, I'm like, it's one of the better Jurassic entries in the last, attempts to keep the franchise going. But again, it's not really like there. I don't really have a low bar on these. Like these are all entertaining movies to me, at the least, because I just love dinosaurs, and
Hmm.
and it looks cool. And yeah, Gareth did a great job, I think, in shooting it on film and making it look cool. Um, so yeah, I mean, this was a lot of fun to watch. I would definitely watch more when if and when they make more of these. I'm sure they will. Um, but
Do you
I thought it was
think?
kind of a cool pivot for sure.
Do you think by the time the next movie rolls around, there'll be lots of merch for Dolores?
I
Let's only
hope
hope.
so. I hope so, man.
Is this the first? I guess we had the pet
I
velociraptors
was
in
gonna
the
say
last.
Ronald mentioning the comment about like the whole hand
Yeah.
on the head thing. Like I think that one of the best things of the Jurassic World trilogy is Blue. Like
Yeah.
I genuinely love Blue. My kids have Blue plushies in their bedrooms right now. And when we go to Universal every year, we make sure to do the encounter and meet Blue. And that's a win. So, but yes, Dolores, I mean, if she has a place in this story
I
now,
mean, I that
so I'm for
that
it.
they played me like a fiddle with Dolores.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
cute little baby. Actually, I don't know. Is this a baby or is this just a small creature? But a little sweet dinosaur that's kind of like when it meets the humans, it's kind of like, hey, folks, could you please help me out? I don't like it here. These other dinosaurs are scary as shit. But everything Dolores does is cute. It's very Grogu-esque, where it's just like
Yeah.
you can't help but think this little creature is cute. But it didn't bother me too much because it just felt like this is a flavor I don't mind, and it was done so well. Like you
Yeah.
mentioned, Ronald, the scene where Dolores comes and lies down next to them.
Yeah.
Um,
Got
it's
me,
just like
man.
it's just so sweet, and it's like you want to see that. And they didn't overdo. I will say this: they didn't overdo the little kid being in danger because they did something stupid, and they
Yeah.
didn't overdo like, oh, Dolores causes a problem because Dolores was actually pretty smooth. Dolores actually behaved. I know I've mentioned this Dungeons and Dragons game that I played with some friends, but in that game, I quickly befriended a cat at one point that then became like a cat that hung out with us on the journey. And the cat would, we always sort of agreed that when there was real danger, the cat would sort of flit away. And like if
Okay.
we did have the cat do something in the gameplay, it would have to be something simple that a cat might do. And we
Mm.
had to roll to see if the cat would actually do what you wanted it to do and all this stuff. But like Dolores reminded me of that cat, Brando, the cat from the Dungeons and Dragons game, because whenever there was trouble, Brando would just kind of run off, like the way a cat might when company comes over. Like a cat disappears, you don't know where they are, and then later the cat just comes out from somewhere. Um, and I felt like Dolores did a good job of doing that. Dolores stayed out of trouble and like and like ran off to the bushes.
So it looks like those dinosaurs were no more than 2 feet long. So I think maybe she was a full grown
A full
dino.
grown, perhaps a little bit
Three and a
runchier.
half pounds,
Maybe she's a little bit of a
Dinosaur.
small fry
tiny,
for her
tiny,
stock.
tiny. They were
I
the
guess what
size of a large bunny rabbit. It
Oh
says.
wow.
that is adorable. So we're
That is, yeah,
assuming that Dolores,
that's freaking adorable. Way to
we're
go,
assuming that
guys.
she knows the gender. Did we have a confirmation? She named it Dolores. I'm calling it Dolores, but who knows?
Yeah, no, I think that's appropriate. I think we can just go with that. There's merch. There's merch out there already. I saw a Lego
Right.
set for her.
Oh wow.
Yeah, yeah. There's
Okay. See,
stuff
there
all
you
over the
go.
place.
They know what they're doing. But I was surprised how that worked on me. Normally, I might roll my eyes pretty hard at that, but I was just like, no.
It was great.
If,
Ronald
if
said
you
it in
get,
our thread. Like the moment she curls up next to them when
yeah,
they're sleeping, it's like, oh,
yeah,
you got me.
yeah,
Got me.
Done.
Done.
Done. That just reminded me of my dog who I don't have anymore. Would usually curl up right next to you. And like that just there it is. I'm in.
yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
man.
But yeah, I don't know, man. This was I got it. Yeah. This is a go see it from me for sure. I mean, especially if you like if you're at any degree of the past Jurassic films, like this is definitely feels more like, the first few entries in the whole series,
Yeah.
more so than the Jurassic World's trilogy. In tone, in structure, in simplicity, and the action and the dinosaur. Again, the idea of having like a checklist of 3 kinds of large species dinosaurs. It's like, what a genius idea. Put
Yeah.
them in front of the 3 largest species on land, air, and sea, and have them get blood from them or embryonic fluid, whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
Very cool idea. Great way to break a story. So, and it works for the most part. So
And
I had a lot of fun.
I loved the scene with the pterosaurs or whatever the flying dinosaurs were, that they had made a nest in like an ancient temple that was
Yeah.
in the cliff face. That was just a
That
cool
was
setup.
awesome.
It
That
Yeah,
was
that was
was.
awesome.
just really cool. Like adventure feel that this movie managed to have throughout. Really old school adventure, like pulp adventure kind of.
Yeah.
I really appreciate. I mean, when I think about it, I really think of a movie that I really want to see again. But when I
Yeah.
picture the kind of the down parts that we're talking about, I'm like, I
Yeah.
really don't want to watch that stuff again. Like I wouldn't. I don't know if I'd
Mhm.
run out to the theater to see this a second time.
Right.
But I know as soon as I can watch this at home, I'm looking forward to like watching it again, just so I can see. You were kind of getting at this, Steve. It's just those set pieces are just cool looking. It's
Yeah.
like they're well done. And again, Gareth Edwards has always managed the scale and the scope in
Totally
his scenes, you know. So he knows how to put together that sense of like, oh shit, there's something huge. Like those mosasaurs, I think is what they're called in the water. When they would emerge, it was just that always sends a chill down my spine. Like the idea of being out in the water and there's such a huge thing going around the boat. Yeah, really, really primally, fearful stuff that I think has always been good in these movies. So,
What did you guys think of before we wrap up? What did you guys think of the D-Rex?
is
That
that
ugly big thing.
Yeah.
It
At
was
the end.
so ugly, man.
I thought it was creepy. I thought it was cool. I mean, I like when these
Okay.
movies go a little hard into the sci-fi elements. So
Looked like a
I thought
predator.
that was kind of neat. Yeah, it had like it remind. Do you remember the creature in the movie The Ritual? You only really see it
Oh,
like,
yeah.
by night, but it had like extra appendages that are in weird
Yeah.
places like that too. So no, it definitely gave it a kind of almost Lovecraftian kind of quality. But it was just
Yeah.
so huge, and we only see it by like night, like the salt lights or the
Yeah, it's such a weird.
or the
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
weird dinosaur.
flare light. It's just you barely get a look at it. I
Yeah.
think that's cool. That was scary.
I really
Yeah.
do like that this is like the island of weird dinosaurs. It was purposefully supposed to be a
misfit
place.
toys.
Misfit. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's strange.
Literally,
Like
yeah.
and I did like that because of its shape, it moved very strangely. Like
Yeah.
the head was so big that it couldn't really do as much as maybe
Yeah,
a
he's-
T-Rex could do. Like
That's why he was so mad.
it's like fuck this.
There
Fuck
was
this.
another thing I wanted to mention to you guys though. Did you notice that opening scene was like they had a little bit of Final Destination in your Jurassic Park movie with the Snickers wrapper?
Yep.
Yeah.
Like that was
Sucking in and
Yeah.
blowing out the door closing.
that is I gotta
Love it.
say that is a fragile mechanism for
It was.
that vent that can pull in a wrapper and then completely cause the containment door to not close. But like I did think, oh, I wonder if we were going to see a lot of that. And I did think if you were going to do a really stripped down horror centric Jurassic Park movie, merging it with the Final Destination kind of technical failure of the facility would be
Yeah.
a really smart way
Yeah.
to do it, because you could just have another set piece where a person does something and you see the little screw that doesn't get tightened
Yeah.
on the whatever, and you gradually I mean, I don't know, that moment made me wonder, is this movie going to play with that energy throughout?
Yeah.
But I surely would they were thinking of that series when, I don't think you could shoot a scene like that and not be thinking
Right.
this
yeah.
is almost like a
Final
little nod to
Destination.
Final Destination, that a guy like just in the middle of this science facility is just
Yeah.
being a
It's like, wait,
slob.
and he like drops
Yeah.
it as he's turning
Yeah.
the key.
But also he gets
Oh, he does.
Terrible coworker. What?
litterers will not prosper.
She should have just fucking let him in. It was like she really didn't even think twice about it. She looked, she saw a little bit of
Yeah.
cloud, and she's like, no, I'm gonna watch you die and have this formative memory stick in my brain. And so she could
But then
fucking tell that story. Oh, I tried to help him, and you wouldn't believe it. It just scooped him up before I could help him. You're a fucking liar. You're a fucking liar.
Oh shit.
They need you in the next movie, Ron.
Truther Ron James on the
Like
scene.
you go out and you find her and he's like, you should feel bad.
You lied.
I did
I
think
saw
maybe
it.
we would see her again, but we didn't. I guess maybe we
No.
were supposed to think everybody got killed eventually,
Yeah, yeah.
because it didn't seem like whatever.
You think everybody got killed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it did seem like that facility was kind of abandoned in the last minute, but maybe not killed. Maybe they just pulled out.
I
But
love the guys.
they left that thing in the tank that was all like
Yes,
the thing that twitched once, but then it was dead and rotting
I
later.
was gonna say it was so his reaction to that dinosaur was so genuinely good. It's just like,
Mhm.
oh
Yeah.
no, a, a freak of a dinosaur. It was just very, yeah. I thought that was really cool, man. I like the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a fun Jurassic Park big summer movie for sure.
Mm,
Right. It's not a huge surprise to say a little bloated. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
uh,
Not without its
But
flaws, but a lot of fun.
yeah, a less bloated version of this movie. It's like it would be even more exciting to recommend. You know what I mean? Like this is
Totally.
a movie that's going to be if the trailers have hooked you in any way, if this series has hooked you in any way, I feel like people are going to be interested to see this one.
mm.
So
Good
var for the
deal.
land.
Again though, that doesn't come out till next week, so we got a little jump on
Yeah,
that one.
got to
So
jump on
have
that
to
one.
wait for the
Oh
holiday
yeah,
weekend for that one. I think it comes out Wednesday the 2nd.
pretty damn
Uh,
cool.
yeah, very.
We get to put the logo
Boom.
right on that fucking
Boom.
movie schmovie or banner.
Did you guys watch anything else that you want to mention before we wrap up? I know I haven't, but just throw it
I
out there.
I want to move really fast like a running zombie through some thoughts on 28 Years Later, which I saw.
Oh, I saw that.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
So,
did.
well, maybe you can run through some thoughts as well.
Run away. Go.
Run, run through your thoughts like a big dong zombie.
So big.
Why is that what everybody's talking
And
about?
well,
Like,
because it's like in the movie, he's like, we call these the alphas, and I'm like, yeah,
Yeah,
you do,
yeah.
for obvious reasons.
right? You don't
He's
call them the hogs or
he's
the pythons.
he's cock stocking one smoking barrel. He's fucking walking around and it's slapping around. It's not like
Yeah, no, it's
yeah.
like the movie makes a point. No, but I will also say that, like, just as a movie, like this,
Mhm.
the feel and energy of this movie is so. It got me. I mean, I'm kind of bored with the scenario. Like, I
Mm.
think Last of Us is a beautifully made show, but something about the scenario just seems a little too much like Walking Dead to me, which
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of bored me at a certain point. Like, I can see the quality of things being done, but Danny Boyle's direction and the way the score works, and even the way this is shot in a much more like I don't know if it's shot on. Is it shot on iPhones, but with super nice lenses attached or
Yeah,
something? So
yeah.
it's not really like a
And the
low budget
drone, they
production.
like droned the iPhone. They did a
Yeah,
bunch of cool shit with that.
it's got an edginess to it and
Yeah.
a collage. I mean, you know from Danny Boyle's other movies that he'll throw interesting shots in, and the music is sometimes mixed in a way that's very dissonant. And I don't know, it worked on me. There were some stretches of this movie that I thought were just extremely effective and extremely powerful and extremely scary.
Wow.
I liked the story, but I really loved parts of it, you know. But and I think it's just unusual. Do you know what I mean, Ronald? Like it gets to the end, and it's just a very unusual feeling movie. People talk about it having a cliffhanger. It really kind of ends and then has like a tease
Yeah.
of the next
Yeah.
chunk of story. So I don't feel like it's an incomplete movie, but it is kind of positioned now as part one of a two-part sequel. The next one is coming, I think, soon. I think it's
Yeah.
coming in 28 weeks
Weeks.
or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and is it Nia DaCosta
Yep.
directing?
Yeah,
The,
maybe.
I
bo-
mean,
the Bone
awesome,
Temple.
awesome news. So like, I love Nia DaCosta getting that opportunity. If the Bone Temple from this movie, if that's the setting or the subject of the next movie, I mean, it's going to be some
Jesus
insane shit.
Christ.
I just feel like, there's some movies you feel like you're seeing something that's really unusual, and a movie that made me feel eerie in a similar way is the Green Knight.
Oh yeah.
And there's just an otherworldliness to this landscape this person is traveling through because it's so different from our current age. And the idea of going into the future to see an England that is like almost back to being like a mythical land of adventure where people are cut off from each other and you've got little pockets of people. And, I know that Last of Us is doing that and Walking Dead does that, where it's like, oh, you come up on a new group of people and you find out what they're up to. But there's something about these movies that feels more mythic and just interesting to me, this notion of jumping this far into this scenario, jumping this far into the future. And I
I,
realized I don't think I ever saw 28 Weeks Later. So
oh,
maybe
Oh
maybe
wow.
I should remedy that. But yeah,
yes.
this movie really worked on me. I can't say that, like I said, the overall entire storyline was as captivating to me as the best parts. But I also like that the movie, you don't go into this knowing who the main characters are going to be. Really, I didn't know anything. Did you, Ronald? Like about the story?
No, no, I did not at all. I think one of the coolest parts about this is, a thing I talk about a lot. If the world is as crazy as you say it is, show me and don't tell me. And this really showed me how fucking weird a society can get if you lose things. You lose electricity, you lose access to communication across the water. It really becomes this really primitive thing that people kind of rebuild from there. And so much time has passed that the culture has changed. So like
Yeah.
to us, we could talk to our kids and we're like, yeah, so that's on record. They're like, what the fuck are you talking about? A record? Shut up, old man. There's a lot of
Yeah.
that.
And there's even like I something I wasn't sure if I was aware of in the lore of this world, Ronald, that directly addresses that idea of, well, what's happening outside of the UK?
Right.
And you get a sense of like maybe how modern the world actually is out there. Like,
Yeah.
because this is a world, in this world, this is a world that didn't really get the last 20 whatever, 28 years
Yeah.
of our history,
Yeah.
but like this movie addresses that idea of, but wait, what about outside of this world? And it's
Yeah.
like there's something extremely modern that creeps in that I thought was a really cool touch. And I honestly, I didn't know that was, I didn't know
Yeah.
that. I didn't know that
Yeah.
part of the lore of this story, that, oh yeah, outside of England, the the situation might not be so,
Yeah.
might not
So
have
so
reverted back
dire.
to this medieval sort of
Yeah.
existence. And we should mention also some fantastic performances in this. I thought Aaron Taylor Johnson was really
Oh
good.
man.
He's really like gaining respect for me the more he plays these sort of dubious guys. And also Ray Fine, who's always good. He's just
Oh.
so good in this.
Yeah, what he's doing in this movie, man, like, like I bawled at like some of the scenes towards the end, and I was
Hmm.
trying. I'm like around a bunch of friends, and I'm trying not to be like weepy. I'm like, this is so well executed because it's like, what would make this environment kind of like something we can relate to? And it tackles all that stuff, all the fears you may have, all the like things you may think about when you're in that world. It tackles it in a real way and really gets to the emotion of it. And Ray finds Ralph, is it Ray finds Ralph finds? I feel
I
like
think
I'm
it's Rafe, and I don't know if
Rafe.
it's Fines or
Rafe.
Fine. I honestly,
Yeah. So
I
he
just
is,
slur. Fine.
yeah, he's kind of treated as one thing in kind of mythic, the mythical sort of way, and then you meet him, and he's totally different. But like, that doesn't give anything away. But like,
Yeah.
it's so interesting to see how he actually is when they meet him, and how interesting he is, and how frank he is, and how brutal. It's all that shit combined, and he's doing something different, and he feels like Voldemort, if Voldemort like was like, man, you got to stop being so evil. It's, well, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't be so evil. But it's so
I think
fucking
I
cool,
think it's
man.
more like it's the guy from the Grand Budapest Hotel
Oh my
if he
god,
survived into the zombie
that's
apocalypse. But
oh, that's
I
so
mean, I
perfect.
was watching this movie just thinking he might be one of my favorite actors,
He's
period.
so
Like
good, man.
he just does something for me that
Yeah,
I feel like it's not that nobody else does, but it's rare when somebody hits every little inflection so
yeah.
hard.
I'm so fucking sick of good dad son dynamics in fucking movies. Like, come on, man. Like, don't make me weepy every movie I watch. But this does such a good job between the
A
kid Alfie Williams.
really interesting because it's not as simple as a good dynamic, but
Yeah.
it's not as simple as a bad dynamic either.
It's like
And
it's
it's very
like
tricky.
yeah, it really is a real portrayal of a human. You know what I mean? Like a human that's trying to be a parent in this
Hmm.
world or any world. It's
And a
it's
kid who's maybe seeing the ugly truth about his dad, like
yeah,
and
yeah.
has to deal with that. I thought the way their story ended was really like knowing that I didn't know when I watched the movie that there's a sequel planned for very soon. So
Right,
that
right.
now makes sense that that's kind of unresolved. But if this had just been a movie and that hadn't been a cliffhanger, I thought it was still a cool way to resolve it, where the
Mm.
kids kind of, letting it sending a message to the dad.
Yeah.
And the other thing I thought was interesting was the uh uh well, I mean, maybe people knew who was going to be the main character of this movie going into it, but I think it's kind of maybe I don't know how you would market what this movie actually
I
is in
don't
terms of
see
the
how
story,
people would know this.
but I think it's smart maybe that they didn't market what the actual story is because
Yeah.
I don't know that anybody knows how to market like a mother son drama set against
Yeah.
this backdrop.
Yeah.
But I think that stuff was really poignant, and there's some really like you talk about some tear jerking moments. There were some real sad moments in there.
Yeah. Also, that big dick alpha, man. That guy was flapping cock, just fucking slapping around this entire movie. I was jealous, man. And I don't get jealous.
You don't get jealous of zombies much.
No. I'm looking at this guy's Instagram and he's just walking around naked, just flapping his thing around, man. It's
I
fucking
didn't even know that was going on, but I
me
did see before I saw the movie. Someone said more like 28 inches later. Am I right?
either. Am I right?
And when I saw the movie, I was like, "What were they talking about?" Oh, okay, then maybe that's what they're talking about.
Uh, cool movie though. Worth seeing.
Yeah,
Yeah, I can't
Please
wait to
see
see
yeah.
it. I
it.
think I'm gonna go see it next week
Yeah.
on a day off that I have, hopefully.
Um.
That
Oh.
running scene, Ronald, the scene, the nighttime running
Oh
scene where they're
my
trying to make the
God.
gate. Steve, there's an all-time, no, Steve, I'm just telling you, there's like an
Okay.
all-timer cool, like sort of escape scene in the
Yeah.
Okay.
beginning of the movie. It's
All
just
time.
shot really cool and really like something out of a fable almost, the way that
Yeah.
it
Wow.
is put on screen. Yeah.
It's
Really cool.
stuck in my brain too.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, something I want to kind of shout out. Um, Movies aren't back per se. Like I don't see as many people in the theater as they used to be. But man, people are really theaters are really trying to reel people in. So this weekend, this Friday I'm gonna go see F1 in Screen X, and
Hmm.
then DC is showing F1 and 4DX, which is like the whole kit and caboodle, like the chairs swinging, shit shooting out, and it's supposed to be really immersive, and it's a little more elevated than the D box. Then I'll go and see it, and I think it's really cool that they're offering layers of experiences for people that want to see. You want to see a movie a regular way? Go see it a regular way. You want to
Right.
see it a stupid big way? Go see it across the whole goddamn movie theater. You want your chair to shake? Go see it in D box or 40X. And I think it's so cool that they're trying to create these experiences for people. And
Yeah.
apparently, like I said, I saw How to Train Your Dragon in Screen X, and it was really worth the money. And
Wow.
the tickets are only $13 at this theater for the premium. It's not like they're charging an astronomical amount of money.
Right.
So it's like it's worth checking out, man. I want to shout out the theaters for trying things, really trying to reel people back in through these what many would consider gimmicky things, but I think they're fun.
It's an option. You just take it if you want to do it.
It's an,
That's it.
it's an option there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Come
I
on,
dig it.
gimmicks are fun.
Yeah.
Well, we were going to mention Ironheart, but I feel like we just did a show. You want to just
Yeah.
share some quick thoughts on Ironheart, Ronald, or do you have much to say?
Solid. Solid.
Yeah.
It's not perfect, it's a TV show, and I think people want too much from these things, and I think, man, don't get me started on this, man. There's a racial component to this that I'm seeing. There's a certain population of people that I see that are not liking it, and I think they just have a problem with black and brown leads in things. It just is a women, just women too. It's
Okay.
like
Yeah, here's the thing, right? Like, there is such a thing as DEI messaging or woke messaging being in a
100%.
movie, but simply having characters that are black on your show does not mean it's woke messaging.
Yeah,
I'm not even saying that would be bad. I'm just saying the way people act like a message is. This goes back to the first time I remembered seeing it this stupidly was when the poster for The Force Awakens came out and it had John Boyega on it
yeah,
and Daisy Ridley, and people said, "I'm so sick of them shoving their PC agenda down my throat." And I was like, because the characters are not white men, it's a PC agenda.
Yeah,
I feel
yeah.
like this show, there are some moments in this show where it has a little bit of messaging in it, at least in the first episode that I saw.
100%.
But overall, what you're saying is very true. And honestly, I do think there's something about the production value and the look and feel of it that feels kind of cinematic, and there was a cool flow to it. I can't say I was that captivated by the
Right, right.
setup or the characters yet. I kind of feel like we're in the middle of an origins situation where I just really want to get to the caper, you know? But
Yeah.
it's I mean if someone's watched all the Marvel shows at this point, there's no reason why this would be the one that would cause you to quit watching it. At least not from the first
Right.
episode. I watched every episode of Secret Invasion. I you know my the bar has been way lowered, but I'm
Yeah.
not even being fair to it. There is something about the feel of this one. I felt like I could feel that whatever that Ryan Coogler production company, there's some extra little bit of polish and look and feel that this has. It does not feel like you said it's TV, which it is, but it doesn't. It feels like cinematic TV, which
Oh yeah,
again,
for
good
sure.
TV feels cinematic. This
Yeah.
feels like it's made on that level of good TV. I hate to admit, I don't know that I've quite cracked the character of Riri yet, or if I'm hooked in to exactly who Riri is or what
Right.
she'll do.
Right.
But I like the sort of moral dubiousness of the crew she might be falling in with and stuff like that. I mean, there's some
Yeah.
fun stuff happening on the show, and I think there's probably some casting that I know of that I haven't seen yet that will be even more interesting once we get to it. So yeah, I found it really watchable.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, man.
Did you have a favorite bit? Did you watch all three?
Yeah, I did. I'm
Does it ramp up?
it does. It does. There's some hints to a greater force afoot. I don't know if it's I there's rumors
No, there's
about
always rumors. I think I know the rumor you're talking about, but yeah.
since the beginning of the whole Apple TV, I mean Disney Plus run, it just like, but this feels like the most likely that this character may show up. Maybe. I don't
Who's
know.
that?
Mephisto?
Oh, okay, yeah, that's what I assumed you meant.
But I don't know. But I don't know when Mephisto became like a character that people wanted to see in things. I think that it just became like a.
I think it started with
I never heard
WandaVision.
this in my
It,
I think it
life.
started with WandaVision when people thought there were clues to
Yeah,
that
yeah, for
presence
sure,
because in the
for sure.
comic there was a whole storyline where their kids turned out to be
Right, right.
planted in her by Mephisto.
Yeah, yeah,
Which later it turned out the kids weren't real, but they did a whole thing where they were his kids at first.
mm.
And I think people thought that's where they were going, or at least that there were clues to that, you know. And then if they ever hinted at it, they were just being cute. They never really intended to do it. But now it has become a thing where saying it might be Mephisto is almost like a joke, right? I mean,
yeah, right,
when
right.
someone says, I think I know it might be Mephisto, like that's a little bit of a joke on the people that were so sure that was coming on
Yeah,
WandaVision. But yeah, from the casting we've heard and all that stuff, that sounds fun to me.
yeah.
So I'm interested. But I do find it interesting. You don't really think of the Ironheart concept as one that links up to the magical
At all,
world
man.
that
And they're
much.
doing so much. It's leading to so much magic at this point. Like at third episode, it's ramping up for magic.
Well, you know what I should say? I don't know the character of Ironheart much from the comics.
Me
There may
either.
be strong magic elements in the Ironheart comic, but in my mind, the sort of Iron Man character, it doesn't. It's not linked to magic. But
Yeah,
I realize I don't know anything about Riri's stories in the
yeah.
comics. So.
Um, Iron Man and also Iron Man, who Terrence Howard referred to in the first one, was kind of a different version. Iron Man. Slightly different version of Iron Man.
What does he say when he like passes by the suit in that, and he's like someday or
Some
next to
Next
the moon or
time,
something?
next
Yeah,
time
next
or
time.
something.
Yeah. What do you call an Easter egg that doesn't hatch?
I don't
That's
know,
what
man.
that was.
A failure, man.
Whatever happened to the Don Cheadle show slash movie? Is it just gone now? The Armor
They
Wars?
canceled it, I thought.
I mean, it's just
Oh
completely gone.
no.
Okay, I was curious
I
about
think
that.
so. I don't remember. I feel like he. Well, no, I think they like announced that it was not happening. Let me see. Or that it was going to be a movie, and then it was going to be
Yeah.
a
No.
shift back to. Let me
Oh,
see.
because at first it was going to be a show, and then
The
they
War
said it
Machine
was going to be
taking.
kind of like Iron Man 4, and then
So initially planned as a Disney Plus series, it was later redeveloped into a movie. While there's been updates and changes, probably including a potential shift back to the series. Well, it says it's still in development as a movie. I don't know. I thought they announced something about it like
I mean, they're claiming they're still going to make Blade with Mahershala Ali, so we'll just have to see.
Yeah.
And I love how he is about it. He's like, "Yeah, I still would do
Yeah,
it. I
talk
have
to
no
them.
idea. I have no
Yeah.
idea what their shit is, though."
What a weird series of events
Yeah.
that is.
Mm.
But folks,
That's
yeah,
probably
yeah,
that's probably why that happened at the end of Jurassic World. Is that if Blade doesn't work out for him, he's got
yeah.
opportunities here.
But I mean, like Ironheart is they're killing it in 2 weeks too, and I don't know, like I just don't know if I understand that. Like, I guess I get it on a certain level, but it's almost like I don't. You look at Andor and you go, well, that can't be a mark of what they thought was the quality of Andor. You know what I mean? It coming out 3 episodes a week doesn't seem like it's because they thought it sucked. So
Right.
you can't say that that's what they're doing to Ironheart. But it always feels like they're trying to burn these shows off when they do that to me, and I don't know
It
if I
does.
quite understand it. And you've mentioned it, Steve, that really it's more about having the library once it's out.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And it's kind of like if you're going to do like a binge model, you get a little more hype out of splitting it over 2 weeks rather than 1 week, but it's still kind of strange to
Yeah.
me. And I have heard what you were saying, Ronald, the kind of racial dynamic. I have heard a lot of criticism of is Marvel kind of dumping this show? Is this
Mm.
another show like Echo that has a non-white lead and they're kind of dumping it? And I don't know if it is the shows, if it's the quality versus the show or whatever, but I do think that sadly, I think if people want to see more stories like this, they might have to, the numbers might have to be there for shows like this. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just a weird thing, you know. But I think I'm definitely hooked, at least to watch the second episode of Ironheart. I was hooked by there's a little bit of a cliffhanger at the end of the first one, so I'm interested to see what happens there.
Cool.
Need to check it out. Well, I think that's a show, guys. That
Definitely
felt
is.
about right. Movieschmovie.com is the website. You can go there to subscribe, listen right there on the site if you prefer. But yeah, you can subscribe to any platform that you prefer to use for the audio experience. YouTube.com/Movie Schmovie podcast. If you want to watch the video, uh, get the shorts. You can also just do audio there as well. But please subscribe, hit the bell so you get notified, and turn on all notifications so that you get a heads up when full episodes come out and also when the short clips come out. We'd appreciate it. And if you do subscribe anywhere, please leave a review or maybe share it around to a friend or family or enemy, whatever works for us.
Yeah.
We'd appreciate it no matter
Or an
which.
enemy's family.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
open arms for all. So yeah, thank you so much for listening. And as always, you made our day. Thanks.
Bye.